So Uta here outside with surprise, a few more flowers. Coreopsis, yet another beautiful rose, and a little white snapdragon. They're pretty hardy. And the wild geranium. These cute little ones called Sweet William Catchfly. This little pink flower. And then dianthus, also called pinks. And that was a surprise for me this morning. Now, I submitted my open letter to the president of Harvard to PITT to see if they would publish it on their newsletter. This is Parents with Inconvenient Truths About Trans. And I was making the point that, first of all, trans widows have a great deal of information about the corruption of the gender area in the profession of psychology and psychiatry, because many of us trans widows have had direct in-person contact with those therapists, such as Dr. Connie Christine Wheeler, who I diagnosed my then husband Nettie in the first appointment on July 20th of 1993, and things have not changed. Everything is in the first appointment. They over-exaggerate a concocted narrative of, the self-harm these people are going to do to themselves. And what I'm really reflecting on is that earlier on, when it was mostly these middle-aged men or younger men going to people like Dr. Wheeler, a considerable contingent of these men were either consuming vast quantities of alcohol and or certain quantities of illegal drugs. I know that Nettie, when he was younger, had dropped acid. He smoked a certain amount of pot when he was, before he met me. I didn't want to go around with a boyfriend who did a lot of drugs, and so I just said, if you are going to do that still. He had, our friend Bill, our mutual friend Bill, was a little bit of a bad influence. I don't, so he became a very hardcore alcoholic, actually, Bill. Sad, talented guy. So this is the first outline of what I believe the wellness checklist should be, because of course there shouldn't be these one appointment 40-minute diagnoses that you are transsexual or transgender. It should be that, okay, we're going to put that aside, and I have to do some intake here about you, family history, things like that. And, I know this because I taught children with special needs, and I have been there as the teacher that the child is familiar with when the social worker or psychologist did that with a child. And also back in early 2000s, a little over 20 years ago, I got diagnosed with PTSD, and it was actually, I think I had to pay twice as much or something for the initial interview and session, which was 2 hours or something. So none of that makes any sense in terms of clinically. And these people have used this narrative, the self-harm narrative, to excuse themselves from actually competent clinical practice. So that's why the wellness checklist is important. And outside of, family history and this type of thing, one question that really worked well with my protege, Paul, who sort of doesn't need to write to me anymore because he realized that early exposure to pornography on his phone was probably the entire influence of it. And I love it when a kid is saying to me, I don't really have any much more to say about this because I'm not thinking about it anymore. And that's what the other four, who were much younger, basically said, and they never brought it up again. So, and that goes back a couple of decades, those children who ideated that they're supposed to be the opposite sex. But there were reasons: sibling jealousy, um, feelings of affinity, like with this girl, she had a lot of affinities with the boys, all that kind of thing. And, when young children say this, it truly is a passing phase. And why aren't they asking us older teachers from, generations ago? Because what we said is, I can't remember all this. I've got your name on the list, and that's the name I call when I take attendance, and I can't remember all this other stuff because we have all this math and reading and very interesting science to do. And, we're going on an outside walking trip and going on a trip to the museum and everything. And I have to teach those lessons about how to look at statues and paintings and how to identify trees and how to know the difference between deciduous and coniferous trees. Think about that, fancy science words. We have to learn all that stuff. And then also I would go into my thing of, oh, what helping job do you want to do? I'm thinking of inventing some new jobs. Can you look around the room and think of a job that you would like to help me with? And then we'll put, those little bunny stamps on your line of, I had this big chart of everybody and they're helping things. And there would be some parents of the kids who wouldn't help, who would resist. And they would say, why doesn't my child da-da-da? And I was like, you know what? Encourage your child to ask Miss Uta how he or she might be helpful. And I will really work on finding new tasks like sorting out the crayons and taking out the really too little ones, and we'll put them in a special box. I bet your child would love to do a helping job like that. And what I ask is, tell me a number, even or odd. How many of these stamps do you want me to stamp onto your line by your name on the helping chart? And, with little kids, that's it. Now, so this is really the first step on the Hagen principles involving the wellness checklist. Number one, how are you spending your time and where? And then A, B, C, D underneath is make sure that you're spending enough time sleeping in your bed. Make sure that you're spending time brushing and flossing your teeth after meals. Make sure that you are charging your phone from an outlet in a public common place in your home, such as the dining room or the living room. Consider how much time you spend having just chit-chat about the weather and the clothes you've grown out of and your favorite clothes when you were really little and cute with your parents. And they will love to talk about this, and this will build your relationship all the way until your adulthood and when your parents are elderly, and you will be so rewarded if you cultivate a good relationship with your parents, which of course takes time. And also additionally, how much time do you spend either outside or in front of a computer screen? Because the outside time should actually equal the computer screen time. And so this is principle number one of the wellness checklist from Uta Hagen. Where and how long and doing what are you spending your time? Because recalibrating how you spend your time can change everything. And that's it for now. I've got a lot of work to do out here.